Where did Bitcoin come from? Most people know about the mysterious Satoshi and Laszlo's 10,000 Bitcoin pizzas. But how did it become the trillion-dollar global juggernaut that we all know of today? And is anyone keeping track?
Well, my name's Tobias. They call me the Coin Dad. I've been around for a little while.
This is the creator of the Bitcoin Mining Museum, the center point of the 2025 Dallas Mining Disrupt Conference. When I and the rest of the Bitcoin mining world team were there 2 weeks ago, I got to go through the exhibit with a personal tour from the man behind it all.
You know, this is a really cool museum and it takes us through the history of Bitcoin mining, but what incentivized you at the very onset to create this museum?
So I was doing like refurbishments back in the day during the S9 era for people, and then the crash happened. And I was also refurbishing other types of miners in the Bitcoin space, and some of them left their miners with me. They didn't want them back because they're not profitable no more. And one night I was just sitting there and I seen like miners on my shelf that were starting to collect without me really recognizing that it was doing so. And then I went on eBay and I found others, and I started to collect a personal collection to where it grew to like 25 and 30. And then I was like, man, maybe I should donate these to a museum. So then I went online and I looked up Bitcoin Mining Museum or Bitcoin Museum, and crickets, there's nothing out there. And that kind of blew my mind. If we're building the best financial system in the history of the world, how come nobody's preserving its history to educate the future generations? And this is the only tangible part of the Bitcoin blockchain you can physically touch and see.
Yeah.
So to me, it made sense, like, okay, well, if nobody's doing it, why don't I be the first one, since I already have 20-something machines in front of my face? So right now I only have half of it here. So actually I have twice the size of this if I was to do the whole thing. I'm gonna start probably with this one right here.
It says 130 nanometer. Holy cow. Holy cow. We're down to 5 nanometer chips, and that's a 130 nanometer chip.
130 nanometer chip. And this is the original box. These are actually never been used. So to have something from that early era that's never been used is a gem in itself. And the owner of it, or the founder, is named Fried Cat. And Fried Cat disappeared in 2014 with 140,000 Bitcoin.
Kind of like Satoshi.
Yeah. What he did is he self-mined and then sold hash to the public with some company on Bitcoin Talk. So because he held it and didn't go public with it, he doesn't really get recognized as the first miner in the world. Avalon ended up becoming first because they went to public first.
The first ASIC miner.
The first ASIC miner. We have a lot to thank to them, really, from the early OG founders. They had the power to take over the network, because the network was so small back then that when you went from FPGAs to ASICs with this much power, them having these miners in stock, they could have just plugged them all in. The first batch was 300 of them. Because they were more into the technology of Bitcoin versus greed of money, they not only decided to sell them, but they also open sourced them. And that's how Bitmain was born, and WhatsMiner was born, and every other manufacturer after that was born, because at the time they had control over the software. It was not open sourced.
That's a really strange dynamic versus today, because if someone today built a new machine, a new ASIC that had, the ability to take 300 machines and overpower the Bitcoin mining network, it's almost like they would do that immediately.
This whole conference, your job, my job, is all because of this moment right here.
Yeah.
But even if it does, what happens after that? We still choose the right chain that we all want to use as Bitcoiners around the world. So if it hard forks, then we just go with a fork that we support.
Yeah.
Like I said, Bitmain was born from that. So you have the S1 from Bitmain. So this is December 2013. When they first sold these, they sold them 30 at a time on Bitcoin Talk at auction. So it was not until the S3 that production came to commercial level.
Okay.
S7, this obviously everybody knows this legendary
My
S9.
first miner that I ever got was an S9.
Yeah?
Yeah. Plugged it in on the counter and the wife started yelling at me because the house got too hot.
Yep. I had mine in the guest bedroom next door, and my wife got pissed at the noise. So I got a beer cooler and cut holes in it and ran a flex pipe out the window.
Yeah.
And then I got a payout while I was laying in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning next to her on a Saturday. And I hear my phone makes a ding, and she's like looking at me like, kind of chick is texting you at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, look, that a woman has. And then I showed her, I'm like, that's that miner in that beer cooler next door. I just got a payout,
babe. The one that you hate, by the way?
Yeah. So then she ended up being super supportive of everything that I'm doing. So shouts out to my wife. She actually convinced me to quit my day job to do this full time.
Good woman right there.
Yes. Here's
Now we have a phone.
Yes, here's a very interesting story. So this is an N900 Nokia. This downloaded the entire blockchain, and the battery was mining Bitcoin on the phone, and 0.43 Bitcoin was sent to another N900 user on that day. And then the very next day, the difficulty shot up just enough to where you couldn't do it anymore. So at one point in history, a phone mined Bitcoin and made Bitcoin and sent it to another phone in a transaction.
Not cloud hashing, like on the phone.
Yes, on the phone. So this is the Holy Grail from Bitmain miners right here. Took me almost half a year to find it. And not only did I find one, but I found one unused, which just blew my mind. From the S5 era, before S7s came out, I guess they were trying to get rid of the chips from the S5 side. So there was one batch for 2 weeks sold for this S5 Plus. And that batch was super small, and then they went to S7. So this is like a blimp in the history of Bitmain, to where even Bitmain reached out to me asking me if they can get it, because they don't have one.
Yeah, you said no, I'm not giving it up.
They actually wanted to buy all of my Bitmain stuff out of the museum, and I was like, no thank you.
Nope, you can't have it.
Adam Back, this is, he first started mining with jalapenos when it came to ASICs. So he actually came through the museum, and he's a big supporter of us. And to have the first person in the world who spoke to Satoshi sign something in my museum is pretty dope.
That's an incredibly cool piece.
Yes, it is. And to find it with the box and the paperwork, that's even extra special.
Wow.
Usually they trash that.
Wow, that is so cool.
This is actually a special baby of my museum that is probably in my top 3. This is before ASICs came out. And this entire thing does only 1 gigahash. Each one is 250 megahash.
Wow.
And this was mining during the first epoch of 50 Bitcoin blocks, and during an era when there was not even any mining pools. So it was doing like solo mining 50 Bitcoin blocks. And on average, I think it was doing like 200 Bitcoin a day or something like that.
This machine made billionaires.
Yes. And no.
And no.
The founder that made this took me quite a while to warm up, for him to warm up to me after he figured that I'm legit with my museum. But he's anonymous, he wants to stay anonymous. But he had 2 of them in his house. One is the prototype he's keeping for himself, and then I ended up buying this in Bitcoin from him. He showed me his Bitcoin wallet. It showed 6,000 Bitcoin, 2,000 Bitcoin, 1,500 Bitcoin, 1,200 Bitcoin, 8,000 Bitcoin through his wallet, in and out during the era that he was making, and he made 900 of these. And today, he has no Bitcoin and is working a 9 to 5.
Some people didn't have the foresight.
He got out early, and he didn't stick with it. And it was painful for him to go into history to show me the proof of him, because obviously it's, as a museum, I have to see some proof that you're legit with it.
Yeah.
But
and he signed it?
Yeah, he signed it.
That's incredible.
So this is a big piece of history. Bits Be Trippin' is the first mining YouTube channel that ever came out back then. And the first videos of him recording conferences and recording mining reviews and stuff was with this camcorder. And he donated that to me too, along with that GPU when I was at his place. So this is not a miner, but it's still a piece of history in the mining world, because this recorded some of the earliest.
It captured it.
It captured the earliest mining reviews and mining conferences that we have in the space.
That's incredible. Thanks, Bits Be Trippin'.
Yes, shouts out to him. The risks of moving my museum from point A to point B, like I drove 1,500 miles over here, 2.5 days of driving, is I could get T-boned and 6 years of all my work is gone. So it's time for brick and mortar, which is what I'm focusing on now. But here's a prime example. There's a miner that just got damaged because of me moving around. And this is what brings me fear that all of my work might disappear if I don't preserve this history in a brick and mortar to where it doesn't move anymore. I have somebody interested in giving me a space here in Dallas. We're talking right now. So I might be actually having a brick and mortar building out, and I'm calling it, this is actually, you're getting exclusive right now because this is like 3 hours old, but I'm calling it the Bitcoin Discovery Center, BDC.
BDC.
Initial contributors that come in from the Bitcoin space, that come in, like 50 grand or whatever, gets a block etched into the ground with their name or their logo for the life of the museum as an initial contributor to help build the place up. So this is actually fresh news. Spondoolies is very popular from the early days with a good reputation, not a bad one. There's quite a few that had a bad rep, but they stuck it through. And this is a SP20. They had a SP10, SP20, SP30, SP35, and they were super screaming loud because they had smaller fans. But this is like the only box one they have, but the original founder is at this conference, showed up yesterday and signed it for me. So I have an original founder from Spondoolies autograph at this conference. The support that I gotten from this conference has helped me actually grow the museum because the OGs come through. They're like, hey, I see you don't have this or you don't have that. And then I connect with them and then they go in their attic and they pull something out from years ago and we can negotiate on whatever. And then I get a new miner to my museum. You already know the BitAxe is growing in popularity.
Oh yeah, we're BitAxe fans over here.
So shout out to Solo Satoshi over there because I think they've sold or they recently surpassed 10,000 BitAxes sold.
Yeah, that's incredible.
This is the prototype of the first BitAxe in the world.
That's incredible.
Yes. So this whole blowing up of BitAxe era right now, I'm honored that he actually came to my house and we hung out a little bit and he signed this for me and gave me his first BitAxe prototype.
Wow.
And then, I don't have my glasses. What does that say? Do you know that one?
That is the Ember 1. So that is the new board that they're currently working on for the multi-chip.
Yes, and this is the prototype for it.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
This is all new news right here that was not available last year.
This is incredible stuff.
So there's a lot of OGs that helped me get to where I am today. But then when I walk through your sections over there and I see the young cats from Tyler, Texas and all that, and seeing the next generation coming in, it makes me happy to see that.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm paying things forward now with the museum and with education for the next generation. Because if we don't preserve this stuff, then how do you actually educate the future generations if we don't save the past?
You got to be able to do that. You got to preserve it so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And I think the Bitcoin Mining Museum, you know, we're all huge fans of Bitcoin, obviously. We want to preserve it in some way, shape, or form. So the fact that you took up that mantelpiece is incredible. I love seeing the evolution of the Bitcoin Mining Museum. I've seen it a couple of times, so getting to see these new pieces, some things that have been signed by founders, prototypes as well, it's really incredible.
And the behind the scenes stories.
Yeah. Well, shoot, CoinDad, I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for showing us this.
Appreciate it.
Stay up to date with the Bitcoin Mining Museum at bitcoinminingmuseum.com and at BTC Mining Museum on X. And for all your Bitcoin mining needs, go to bitcoinminingworld.com. Remember to stay curious, learn from your mistakes, and keep on mining. Trevor Bello signing off.
For all of your Bitcoin mining needs, go to bitcoinminingworld.com and connect with us on our Telegram channels for all things Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. We'll see you in the next one.